Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Wenlock. Mr. Busoi is next.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I would like to congratulate Herr Lechner for the effort that he has made to put together this draft opinion on such a complex issue like mortgage credit. There are some good ideas in his draft report, which I'll be happy to support. About the total cost of the credit, I'd like to make a remark concerning the calculation of the total cost of the credit to the consumer. I share the rapporteur's view that costs in connection with credit protection shouldn't be part of the total cost. But I would go even further and be more precise than that. There are some costs which might not be known by the creditor at the moment of the offer, such as the cost for the insurance of the property, costs related to the property valuation, or notarial fees. In case of insurance, for instance, or even in case of notarial fees, the consumer is free to choose the insurer or the notary, which means that the creditor can be aware of those costs when he offers the credit. These exclusions should appear more clearly in Article 12, which refers to the calculation of the annual percentage rate of charge and the total cost of the credit to be taken into account therefore. Of course, in compensation, the creditor should inform the borrower that he will bear the costs of these services. About the information to be included in advertising, I think that those in the Commission's proposal are going too far. There is too much information to be included at too early stage, which will make television or radio advertising impossible, because on television and on radio, these advertisements are usually very short for the reasons of costs. I would rather go for less information at this stage, namely by eliminating the obligation to include information about the amount of installments, the total amount payable by the consumers, and the warning that the consumer might lose the property in case of failure to meet the obligation in the credit agreement. Like Mr. Lechner, I believe that every consumer knows about this risk when he goes to take a mortgage credit. But anyway, this constitutes information that would be more relevant at the pre-contractual stage. Moreover, this list should remain fixed, without any delegation of powers to the European Commission to further specify this list, since this is an essential element which should be decided by the Parliament and the Council. And that's why I totally support the rapporteur on this issue. Concerning the pre-contractual information, I think that in order to ensure a level playing field for credit institutions and intermediaries, as well as to grant equal protection to all consumers across the EU, it would be very useful to have maximum harmonization. As for the delegated acts, I support the approach of Mr. Lechner by limiting their scope to the content of SEs and the instructions for the completion of the SEs. My last point would be on creditworthiness assessment. I agree with the rapporteur that preventing a creditor to grant the credit in case of a negative creditworthiness assessment would go against the freedom of the contract. We should find a middle way here, and I am ready to discuss on the wording that Mr. Lechner suggested. In any case, the creditor should be proved that the creditworthiness assessment has been carried out indeed. Moreover, in case that credit is refused on the basis of an automated decision, I don't think it would be very wise to disclose all the technical steps that led to the rejection. This might create a risk that the consumer modifies the application in order to see the credit granted, thus circumventing the system and compromising in the end the objectives of the directive. Of course, consumers should be informed about the consultation of the database, and they should also be informed about their right to have the decision revised manually. But there shouldn't be any obligation for the creditor to disclose the functioning of the automated system. A general explanation of the logic behind the system, in my opinion, should be enough. These are just some points that I wanted to highlight. Of course, there are other points that I will put as amendments, and I would like to share in the future with the rapporteur and the other shadows a